Oh, hello. My name is Eli Zaylot, and I hate the new Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, you're probably asking yourself, or me, Eli, what's not to like about an incoherent story? Some bullshit-ass sci-fi, supernatural to sci-fi transition, lazy writing, a broken game. What's not to love? Well, I'm glad you asked. Ladies and gentlemen, reason number 1. No clear direction. Now, you'll have to excuse me, I understand my writing isn't very clear here. That's not my fault this time. It's this marker, it's not great. But what do I mean by no clear direction? Well, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's very straightforward, but, for example, security breach. You end with the burn trap ending, right? And in the burn trap ending, you're like, holy shit, how is this dude still alive? That's William Afton, that's him. But then in Ruin, it's revealed this dude doesn't even exist. But that's the only animated cutscene in the entire game, like ending-wise, I mean, you know what I mean. That is literally the only actually animated ending. The others are comic book strips, lazily thrown together at what seems to be the last minute before their deadline. So why the fuck does a canon ending not have an animated cutscene? Let me tell you why. Because the Burn Trap ending was intended to be the canonical ending. But they changed their mind last minute because they're like, this motherfucker keeps getting burned, he keeps coming back, we can't keep doing this. And also because they wrote themselves into a corner. Yes, a corner. How are you supposed to get out of that? If that fire in FNAF 6 didn't kill him, if being in a purgatory for the rest of eternity doesn't kill him, how the fuck is this stupid little 7-year-old boy with the Five Nights at Freddy's Fazbear? It's not. It's not gonna kill him. It is not going to kill him. They wrote themselves into the corner, so they had to say, okay, let's make up some bullshit-ass excuse for why Glitch Trap exists and why this William Afton exists. And you know what they came up with? Incoherent, sloppily put together sci-fi bullshit. Yes, the supernatural, atmospheric, slow burn thriller game series turned to lowbrow, a 7-year-old can do this in 5 minutes, a monkey could do this, puzzles, sci-fi, catering to little itty-bitty kids. Bullshit. Now, catering to kids, it's always catered to kids, so I'm not gonna hold them there. But the whole Mega Pizzaplex thing, come on, let's be real. This has got to be scarier. And why are there sentient robots? Why are there sentient robots? Why? Why? I mean, there were sentient robots in Sister Location, but that had a direct correlation to the actual supernatural elements. This is just... yeah, so you remember this thing that we never fucking told you about not once in any of the previous games or even remotely hinted at? That exists now, and we're sci-fi, we have groundbreaking technology. Now, I don't have anything wrong with a good old sci-fi, you know, I love me some Alien, you know what I'm saying, I love me some Predator, you know, I don't have a problem with sci-fi, but it's a complete, like, I don't know, like, for me, it's like, I understand going a different creative direction. There's no problem there. It happens to everyone. It happens to every franchise. But why sci-fi? I feel like there's so many other directions you could do with a villain instead of a fucking sentient mimic endoskeleton that was made in 1979, by the way, that can lift up a fucking car with one hand. It gets into these giant big, like, what? Like, they're like 20 feet tall animatronics, like... What is this? This used to be at least remotely grounded because it was supernatural. It wasn't sci-fi. I can even excuse the Mega Pizzaplex because that's in the future. And where we're at right now with AI technology, we're honestly not that far from sentient robots. We're really not. Like, give it 30 years, I can see a world where we have fully functioning sentient robots. Unfortunate as it is. I can definitely see that. No disrespect to the robots if you're watching this in the future. You know what I mean? But so I can excuse that. But why in 1979 do they have this technology? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. And I know he has like the fucking in Sister Location. At least that was like a little plausible, and even then you could let it slide because it directly connects back The reason those dudes are sentient is because they're ghosts and their raw emotion, which was a previously established supernatural element. This was not established. This was just pulled out of their ass, okay? And that's kind of where this next point, terrible storytelling. It's all right here. You don't need any more proof. It's all right here. That's my evidence, people. Terrible storytelling. You can't just throw this in front of us and say this has been here since 1979. I know that's kind of the prequel idea is you do that. But we didn't know about Edwin, who made the mimic, and how difficult it was for him to put the pieces together. We didn't know about that until this game. We thought, like, I know the books and shit, but the books have been, like, strictly, they've been saying, this ain't canon. This is like a side thing. This is a decoder for a bigger thing. They've been saying this. You can't all of a sudden just say, yeah, so none of this is canon except for these 2 stories here. Because why the fuck would you look at that? Why would you look at it if you don't think it's canon? Why would you look at it? You wouldn't because it's not canon. It's not. So why is this one story canon now? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Okay? Fuck. It doesn't make sense. And they're saying it does, and I don't know. It's just, Like, at least before, it was fun. It was decoding. You were like, oh, let's take this from this game. Oh, what's this? This minigame. What could this mean? And then it's like a big puzzle. Now it's just... Throw that in the patch. Put that... DLC... Blob. Fuck it. Forget that. Forget the critical plot point we introduced in the only fucking animated ending in the entire game. Let's just do that. Let's just throw it away and let's... go for a very basic, very, like, cliche sentient robot. Yeah, let's do it. No problem. Terrible storytelling. And, I mean, the thing is, it's not only a terrible story, like, I've been kind of touching on it, it's a terrible story, but it's also terrible storytelling. Because, like I said, before it was puzzles, and the puzzles, like, you could make a coherent story out of it. You could build it. It was like blocks, and you put the pieces together. And it was difficult to put the pieces together, but not as difficult to put the pieces together as it is now. You know what I mean? Like, now, it's not even a puzzle. It's just like, we got a scrap here, yeah, put that there. Oh, okay, I mean, we could probably use a plastic bottle for something in the future. Like... nothing goes together. Nothing makes sense. And, I don't know, like, we know that, like, William Afton's been, like, groundbreaking, technologically groundbreaking for however long. And I know I already touched on that, where it's like, he has these killing machines. But those are at least a little plausible. This AI he has is not. Because the AI in the sister location animatronics is not sentient until... it is fused with the raw emotion and souls of the children that they once kidnapped and tortured and murdered. And that was the thing, is I can get behind Supernatural, and I can even get behind the Mimic if it was told right, but it is not told right at all. It is the most lazy writing I have ever experienced in my entire life. And it's like, it hurts, because, you know, I really like this franchise. I did really like this franchise, and they just disrespected it. They completely disrespected it. There's no communication, and I understand security breach was rushed. Just take your fucking time, please. And I know, you know, COVID, right? You know, so I gave him some slack for COVID. I'm like, you know, I get it. You're not working in person. It's tough. And, you know, I hear Scott Cawthon wasn't really communicating with them great. So, right, I'll give you some leeway there. You know, no problem. Just try to, you know, next time make it better. And they tried to do that with Ruin. They tried. I'll give them that. But instead of, like, actually giving a good try, you know, touching on the Blob, if you're not going to touch on Burn Trap, at least touch on the Blob, okay? Now, Burn Trap, the inference is that it's the Mimic inside of William Afton's endoskeleton suit and also his rotting corpse. Okay, I can get behind that too. But again, where the fuck did Edwin come from? Where? We never heard of this dude ever before. His company, I feel like we would have known if they were hiring different contractors to be making things for them, let alone if the Five Nights at Freddy's one location was under, not on top of, under another place. These are all things that would have been touched on in, like, Five Nights at Freddy's 6, or, like, literally any of the other games. All the blueprints we were given and all this stuff. These are things we would have known about. We know about the characters and stuff. All this shit should have been touched on, and it should have been expanded upon. Like, if you're going to introduce Edwin, introduce him in Help Wanted. You know what I mean? Don't wait till the very last minute to introduce this motherfucker. This random ass motherfucker, by the way. The main two we knew about that were doing all the technological stuff was Henry and William. And now it seems like Henry and William weren't even doing any of the technological stuff. It was all Edwin. So what the fuck? That directly contradicts everything we know. Terrible storytelling. It seems like they don't even know their own lore. You know what I mean? Like they're just. God, I know I'm going on a rant here. And I know I'm like sounding crazy here. But, you know, like, at least do some research on your own fucking game franchise before you start contradicting everything in the game franchise. You can't do it. You can't do it. Yeah. Fuck. God. It's burning up in here. That's why, like, my voice is breaking on water on me. But anyway, that's besides the point. So, I don't know. Like, it's contradicting stuff that we knew before. And it's just pulling characters out of its ass. And then this sudden sci-fi turn. It's always been a little sci-fi, but that was a sideline thing, and I liked it more when it was sidelined. It made more sense. It was more comfortable there. God, and I did have hope for Secret of the Mimic. I was like, okay, they're going back. Maybe they can help clarify these things, you know. Show us that William and stuff. And, you know, I haven't fully played through. I'm watching the Corey Kenshin playthrough, but I'm also watching the endings and stuff, you know. So I'm retaining as much information as I can. But what it appears to be is just a random character that came out of nowhere, made all this stuff that we thought William and Henry were doing in the first place, and then he just ceases to exist. Why? Why? Just say he made the mimic. Don't say he made... I know, we already know, like, he's doing stuff for Fazbear, and even that's... I don't know. Like, it's just so fucking stupid to me. I don't feel like I need to explain myself there. We should have known about contractors, and we should have known that they were hiring people to do this, and it wasn't just William and Henry and their teams doing all this. It seems to me it wasn't even William and Henry's creation anymore. It seems like it was Edwin's creation. And if it's Edwin's creation, that's a big deal. That should have been something we knew about. And we didn't, because they're lazy fucking writers, okay? Now, no disrespect, but sit down in the writing room a little more, maybe 6 months more, man. Come on. Shit, man. So, there you go. Lazy, terrible storytelling. Now, on to my next point, because I'm not done. I'm not done. Okay, my next complaint has been one that's been bugging me since, well, Security Breach, when everything went wrong. Okay? And that is missed potential everywhere. Now, he would be what I would do if not to go for the Mimic. You got Vanny. Okay? You probably forgot Vanny even existed, I'm assuming. I did for a little bit. For 6 months, I forgot Vanny was a character. Vanny should have been the next big bad, but they fucked it up. They fucked it up because they don't know how to write. They don't know how to write. They need to get a writer in the room. They're good at programming. Well, they're decent at programming. When given time, they're good. When given time, they're good. Help Wanted, phenomenal. Help Wanted 2, phenomenal. Gameplay-wise, programming-wise. When they're given time, they're good at programming, but story-wise, I think they need some help. Like, they need outside people for sure. Like, I'm not even trying to be rude. I know I've been rude before, but like, get an outside consultant, okay? Let me tell you something. Vanny was the golden ticket, and they just were like roaming character for like 2 sequences of the game. That'll do it. No problem. Nothing. And there's like Vanny endings and stuff, but Vanny doesn't actually really do anything at all. If you think about it, they pretend she does stuff with the ending. They pretend she's relevant, but she's not actually relevant. Now, we know that she was the game tester for the Freddy Fazbear game they were doing. What I would do there, with Glitch Trap and stuff, we know if you really truly do want to go the sci-fi route, and you say there's this Mimic program, here's what you do. You say, this Mimic program is manipulating her through the game, brainwashing her, not possessing her. You could do possessing, but how the fuck is a computer virus gonna possess a brain? And I know there's electrical waves in the brain, but let's be real for a minute. No, fuck no. Okay? And here's what you do here. Instead of saying, oh, yeah, the Mimic brainwashed her for, possessed her for something. We don't know what it possessed her for. I'm assuming to get the Mimic out of the basement and take over the Freddy Fazbear's for a vague, convoluted, never, elaborated upon reason. Here's what you do instead. You say, she beta tested this game with this entity pretending to be William Afton, or maybe even is William Afton for all we know, the essence of William Afton, because we know agony exists, so maybe it's the leftover agony of William Afton, the memory of William Afton within this game. And it doesn't possess her, it just brainwashes her, emotionally manipulates her. And so she goes, like, she's like stuck in VR. She's like one of those goons, like 4chan users that are like in VR constantly, right? And you say, now she's being brainwashed into becoming, you know, the next Afton, the next killer, carrying on his will, you know? And she gets the job, and it's like a murder mystery thing. Who's taking all these kids? You know, a rabbit spotted that's not part of the Pizzaplex taking kids? What the fuck is happening, right? And then, you know, you're from Gregory. Gregory, for example, another missed potential. Gregory, let's say he's hanging out with the homies. The homies start disappearing. He knows something's up. He's like, what the fuck? He gets separated from his parents. Vanny's still hunting him, so he has to hide overnight. And here's where you go now. Sentient robots, and I understand they're reprogrammed by the Mimic, they're reprogrammed with specific instructions by Glitch Trap, who's not possessing Vanny. Vanny's doing this, carrying out this on her will. She's probably already mentally ill, right? She's already probably got brain damage, on top of that being brainwashed by this William Afton seeming entity, right? Okay, so you make it. Now there's a new killer in the Pizzaplex. She also happens to be programming these entities to act as a sister location animatronics. So you have to survive a maniacal serial killer who has murdered your friends, and also the fellow animatronics that are murdering your friends. And you're like, okay, I gotta find a way out of here. I gotta disable these animatronics. And that's kind of what they do. But they do it in a bullshit way. In a broken way. Now, you don't have to go back to the bottom of the Pizzaplex. You could. And you could just find his body. You could find his body and be like, whoa, what? And then have a Vanny showdown down there. You could do the burn trap thing. It's repetitive. You could do it. You could still totally do it. You could pull it off. But it's not critical, you know? And you could do a Vanny thing. You show Vanny light. You're like, Vanny, you're fucked up, yo. And I'm going to have to kill you. The only way Vanny gets out of this child murdering, yes, we know that Vanny's killing kids, okay? That's a thing that's even in the games, is that she's killing kids. So, irredeemable. No matter what, irredeemable in my eyes. But in this specific scenario I'm setting up, you just make it a deranged killer. And she's the big bad. Animatronics could be sidelined. They're kind of technically sidelined the whole series because the animatronics aren't really the villains per se. It's William Afton, right? But for this, you could do, you know, from the child's perspective of sister location. You know, he's getting hunted through the Pizzaplex. Got to find ways to get out, and that's kind of what you're doing. That's kind of what you're doing in Security Breach, granted, but Vanny's not there. You could do a whole big backstory for Vanny, and a good one. They did try to do a backstory, but it was too convoluted and nothing made sense. So there you go. I just fixed your missed potential, motherfucker, and maybe I didn't communicate it properly here, but I totally could in the game. So, there you go. Missed potential. Hell, even the Mimic is Mitch, what am I talking about? Missed potential. It's all missed potential. Because it's not being handled right. It's not being written properly. And you need to get some better writers in there. Okay? I'm just saying. So, that is mostly why modern Five Nights at Freddy's sucks. Poor writing, terrible story direction, missed potential. And also just not enough effort. It feels like a cash grab. It feels kind of heartless, I feel like. And the bugs. Don't forget the bugs. It feels like Security Breach. You could at least feel the love. You know what I mean? Like, there's somewhere it's like, you can feel like, okay, these guys, they tried. They tried hard. You know, they did what they could with the resources given to them during COVID. They did what they could. But even then, it was like, you definitely could have come up with something better than what you did. And you could have made something better than you did. You should have just let it cook a little more. But, of course, they were being heckled by fans. So even there, I would give them a break, okay? But from Ruin Beyond, there's no excuse. And that's when the soul gets taken out, and it instead becomes a heartless, buggy mess. And I don't like it, okay? That's That's my take. I'm not going to hold you if you do like it, you know. Like I said, a good old sci-fi. I'm cool with it. Just not in Five Nights at Freddy's. It doesn't... Not this type of sci-fi. Like, what they were doing for Sister Location was fine. I can get behind that. But, like, this is just so off the rails crazy. It jumped the shark. And I'm not happy about it. So, there you go. That is why modern Five Nights at Freddy's sucks. Can they turn it around? At Help Wanted 2, I would have said yes, but Secret of the Mimic, I'm saying no. This is Bean Man signing off tragically. Until next time.